You're at the hospital and you hear the dreaded sound of the flatline on the heart monitor as the doctor is telling you that your baby or loved one has died from an undiagnosed heart defect. Or you're sitting in the waiting room waiting for the news of how your loved one's surgery went, and the doctor comes out and starts the conversation with, "We are so sorry, but there were complications during the surgery." Hello, I'm Ashlynn Kreutter, and I'm here with my partner, Kaitlin Kreutter, and we're here from Kreutter Innovations. In order to prevent these situations from happening, we created the KCATH, which is a balloon valvoplasty that helps eliminate the top three problems. The reason that this is so important to us is because I was born with pulmonary stenosis regurgitation. I was born at 30 weeks, weighing only 3 pounds and 10 ounces. I was diagnosed with a congenital heart defect before I was born. The doctors didn't know until I was born what my actual diagnosis was. 2 days after, I was taken into surgery to have a balloon valvoplasty done to fix my pulmonary stenosis regurgitation. They were able to use a catheter, but when they were performing the surgery, they tried to insert the catheter on my upper right thigh, but found that the veins were too weak. Instead, they had to insert the catheter on my upper left thigh. This was a success, and I have been able to manage my pulmonary stenosis for the last 17 years with regular doctor visits, MRIs, and echoes to make sure that my valve is still functioning at an acceptable rate. Every year, about 1% of babies are born with a congenital heart defect. CHD is one of the leading causes of death worldwide. CHD is present at birth and affects the structure of the heart and how it works. Pulmonary stenosis regurgitation is when the pulmonary valve has a narrowed opening and causes too much blood to flow back into the heart. As you can see with the diagram down here, this is a picture of a normal heart and a normal pulmonary valve. Now, over here is what pulmonary stenosis regurgitation looks like. As you can see, the pulmonary valve is narrowed and has a narrowed opening, which would lead to more blood flowing back into the heart. Doctors then will insert a catheter with or an open heart surgery. After a catheter is inserted through the groin, the doctors will then push the catheter through the veins until they reach the pulmonary valve. Once they reach the pulmonary valve, they will then inflate the balloon to open up the valve. Once they can see that the valve is working properly, they will then remove the catheter. There are three major problems that occur during a balloon valvoplasty procedure. One problem is blood clots. As the clot goes through the blood, it can disrupt blood flow to important organs. This may result in a stroke or heart attack. Another serious complication that happens when a blood clot appears is a pulmonary embolism. This happens when a blood clot gets lodged in the pulmonary artery within the lung. A rupture of the valve is when the surgeon inserts the balloon into the valve, and during the inflation process, the balloon is inflated more than needed and the valve ruptures. A ruptured valve will lead to immediate open heart surgery, which could lead to many more complications down the road. A stroke could happen during or after surgery. When a stroke occurs, many complications can follow. For example, being paralyzed on one side of the body, loss of speech, and muscle control. Our demographic target market consists of babies who are diagnosed with pulmonary stenosis regurgitation. The second part of our demographic target market consists of adults around the age of 40 who were not diagnosed as a child but are now dealing with the complications of pulmonary stenosis regurgitation. Our geographic target market consists of people that live in urban areas and middle class families. We created the KCATH with improved technology at a cost lower than the current price to make it affordable for all families. Our goal at Quarter Innovations is to eliminate the financial stress of the balloon valvoplasty so that families can concentrate on the health of their loved ones. The goal for our psychographic target market is for our customers to feel happy, healthy, and satisfied with having chosen our product for their procedure. After we perform the procedure on our patients, we want to ensure that there are no complications that happen during or after the procedure. As a company, we want to make sure that our patients and customers are happy with our product and trust us to perform their next procedure. A balloon valvoplasty can last up to 8 to 10 years and then will need to be replaced. Our product is unique as compared to competitors because it helps ensure while patients are undergoing this procedure that blood clots, rupture of the valve, and strokes don't happen. The goal was to create a form of technology that was simple but yet effective and that would also reassure patients getting this procedure. The K-Cath from Kreutter Innovations is a form of technology that is reliable, efficient, and affordable. The K-cath was fine-tuned to help prevent blood clots by continually keeping the arteries open and allowing blood to flow properly. Inside of the K-cath, as you can see on this diagram in front of you, are tiny wires that will send a signal back to the doctor if a blood clot is starting to form. If a clot does start to form, then there are tiny electro signals that will break up the clot. Kreutter Innovations has collaborated with cardiologist Christine Hill and the doctors at the Cardiac Cath Lab to ensure that the KCAth is able to tackle any problems that would occur during the procedure. The KCAth will be able to detect if the valve is thinning as the balloon expands, which will stop the valve from rupturing by sending a signal back to the surgeon. Along with signaling the doctors when to stop expanding the balloon, the K-cath will also adapt its shape to fit the valve more properly, which will lessen the chances of the valve rupturing. Since blood clots are a major risk in this procedure, the K-cath will detect when a blood clot is starting to form with the wires that are programmed inside. Our product, the K-Cath, costs $1,300. Early production costs are $600 per unit, but will drop to $200 per unit by year 3 as we scale up manufacturing and negotiate with vendors for favorable pricing. We expect to capture 20% of the market the first year, then 50% after 2 years on the market. We will be concluding clinical trials at the end of year 1 and will expect no revenue. But in year 2, when we capture 20% of the market, we expect $7 million revenue on $45 million in sales. In year 3, we will project over $51 million revenue on $172 million in sales. We project costs the first year to be $50 million, growing by $19 million in each of the following 2 years to support capturing market share. Year 1 will be focused on securing facilities, preparing for manufacturing, completing R&D, and completing clinical trials. We plan to get the product through clinical trials by the end of year 1. As you already know, in year 2, we plan to get a $25 million loan to support increased sales and distribution activities. We are asking our investors for $16 million upfront for 5% equity ownership in the company. The money will then go towards expanding our clean room and manufacturing space so that we can have multiple production lines that can focus on different patient groups. This will allow us to address feedback from the clinical trials and expand our production to meet our 20% and 50% targets. Here is a cost breakdown of everything that we will be spending in the first year. Facilities, we will spend $1.6 million. Labor, such as employees, will be $24 million. R&D, research and development, will be $20 million. Manufacturing, $12 million. Clinical trials, $5 million. Sales and distribution, $10 million. And overhead, which will be everything else, will be $4 million. So in total, we will be spending $91 million in the first year. Due to COVID-19, we will be implementing strict decontamination regimens. We have seen less than a 6% impact to direct labor and have been able to execute the plan as laid out to a large degree. We do expect to take a one-time charge of $250,000 to implement decontamination regimens, labor impacts, and to adapt production lines to include UV lighting needed to kill any germs in packaged product as it exits the line. There have been delays in the clinical trials as research hospitals redirect capacity to respond to projected COVID cases. Early indications suggest that they are not seeing the numbers anticipated, and with the availability of vaccines on the horizon, we anticipate delays and impacts will subside in 2021 quarter two and represent no more than a 6-month delay to our plan. This will need to be monitored closely and plans adjusted to take advantage of hospitals looking to return to a normal caseload. In order to avoid HIPAA compliance issues, we provide our doctors with anonymous surveys that patients can voluntarily return. We will also call the doctors before their first procedure to answer any questions they may have on how to use the KCAth. Contacting the doctors post-procedure will also be a high priority to gather any feedback they might have about the product's performance. We at Kreutter Innovations are trying to solve the problems that are caused from the balloon valvoplasty procedure. Blood clots can cause a serious complication and can disrupt blood flow to important organs like the heart. A rupture of the valve can happen when the surgeon inflates the balloon more than what is needed and causes the valve to rupture. Our goal at Kreutter Innovations is to create a format technology that is reliable, simple, but yet effective, and that also reassures the patients undergoing the procedure. Now, let's go back to the scenario we told you about in the beginning. Instead of hearing those dreaded words from the doctor or hearing that terrible sound of the flatline on the heart monitor, you will instead hear your loved one's heartbeat. Or hear the wonderful news from the doctor that the surgery went amazing and that your baby or loved one is going to be just fine, all because of the KCAth. We now hope that your heart beats a little faster after listening to us. Thank you.